Hi. So, just a warning to all of those watching. I decided to make a video story recording of Avery Leanne McVeigh's birth story, just in case in future years she might be interested in having this story kind of for her to look back at. So, the day is January 18th, 2002. And just to be fair, this is my first child. And I had been told all first children are late. That's what I was told. They're just all late. And so your due date was, they told us, between the 26th and the 28th. Now, Papa JW said, you can't be born on the 26th because that's his birthday. So we were like, okay, the 28th. So we're like a full 10 days early. And in my head, I'm thinking, first babies are late. So the night before we'd gone, I want to say it was to Applebee's and had a great big meal, eating all this food. And then about 6 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I am sick. I'm throwing up. I got diarrhea. I thought I had gotten food poisoning, like something is terribly wrong with me. I should not be experiencing these things. And as soon as all that had gotten out of me, that was when I started to feel contractions and my whole stomach got rigid. And I thought, well, there's no pain. It's just like the muscles getting all tight. And so I thought, well, maybe these are Braxton Hicks because I haven't, there's no pain with them. Like there should be pain if it's real contractions. And so I get ready. I'm like thinking, so I call the doctor and the doctor's like, well, if there's no pain, then just monitor. They were coming like every 5 minutes, but there wasn't really any pain with them. And so they said, well, just if there starts to be pain and they're close together, then come on in. Well, so we had not gotten any film for our cameras because we still had 10 days, right? So I told your dad, I was like, hey, we need to go get film for the camera. So we drove from our apartments, Star Apartments, to the Walmart, which was like, it might have been 1.5 miles, maybe. By the time we got to the Walmart parking lot, I was in so much pain that I could barely stand up. And so I was like, we have to go to the hospital now. And of course we went inside and got film instead. And then by the time we were leaving Walmart, I felt like you were ripping me in half. So we get back in the car and we drive to Lufkin, which is 30 miles away because I didn't want to change my doctor because I really liked her. So we drove to Lufkin, and very much like every 5 minutes, it's just these like solid pains. So we walk into the hospital. Now, mind you, we had already filled out all the paperwork for the hospital. There shouldn't have been any paperwork, but of course they don't tell you there's more paperwork after you get all the paperwork filled in. Like you do all the paperwork and then there's more after you go into labor. So the lady, she was looking at me and she was like, well, I said, well, I've already filled out all the paperwork. I'm in labor. And she was like, well, she was going real slow and kept kind of feeling me out because I don't think she really believed that I was in labor. And I was like, I'm having a contraction right now. And so finally she was like, oh, you're in labor. So we go into this room and they sit me down. And now, mind you, I had been walking around for 2 weeks before this time, 100% fully effaced and 3.5 centimeters dilated, which means that I was about 0.5 centimeter away from active labor for 2 weeks. And of course, I still didn't think that meant anything. I thought, well, first babies are late, right? So they sit me down into the chair or onto the bed, and the doctor checks, or nurse, whoever, somebody checked me out. And they were like, oh my gosh, this baby's coming now. I'm like, what? And so they're like, okay, well, we're going to go get the doctor. And I said, well, where's my drugs? Like, I'm supposed to have drugs. And they were like, oh no, it's too late for drugs. And I was like, no, no, no. It's never too late for drugs. Little did I know that for your brother it would be too late. But for you, I insisted, oh no, it's not too late. I just went into labor. Like, I mean, it's not even, it's been 2 hours, I guess, since I woke up, right? So they're like, okay, maybe it's not too late. So they went and got the guy. They did an intrathecal in my back, which is just a shot. They don't leave it in like the other one. And so it went from like intense pain to like nothingness. Like there was nothing. I could kind of feel the tightening, but there was like no pain. And I'm like, woohoo. So then everything dramatically slowed down. And they don't tell you, I don't know, maybe it was just like this for me. But there'd be a contraction. They're like, you feel that? And I'm like, yeah, kind of. They think there's a contraction. And then it'd just be like dead silence in between them. And your dad started telling jokes because it was so much silence in between the contractions. It was like this weird, eerie, dead silence. And so he's just telling all these jokes. And at some point, your Granny Allison shows up, and Granny Sherry drove all the way from Dallas. And we're right in the middle of they're telling me to push. And here comes Granny Allison walking through the door. I was like, oh, no, I'm not that cool. I'm not that hippie chick that wants the people all in the room. Like, I was severely embarrassed because I'm practically naked. And so I think Granny Sherry ended up getting her out of the room. So then the eerie silence again. And in between all the eerie silence, I could hear this woman like screaming down the hall. And I was like, oh, she's just putting on. Like, there is no way she's in that much pain. She's just screaming and screaming, right? So then, of course, like, I was so scared of pooping that I wouldn't push. Like, she was telling me to push, but I was not pushing the way I was supposed to because I was afraid to poop. Now, I hadn't thought in my head, like, I'd probably pooped everything out of me already because I'd been so sick that morning. Apparently, your body cleans out all that stuff, and they don't tell you that in the books or the books that I read. I don't remember seeing that and what to expect. When you're expecting, they don't tell you that you might be, like, severely diuretic and puking and vomiting. Anyway, so where this stupid nurse who kept saying push, 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 and it was driving me crazy, and I was just real irritated, and it was like silence in between everything. And then finally she told me to push like I was pooping, and I did, and then there you were. And it was about 6 hours after I first woke up and was just like dog sick. And so you still came like really, really quickly after only 6 hours, and you were just this little bitty, like just over 5.5 pounds, 19 inches, and you're squinched up like a little frog, like a little pea pod. And you pretty much stayed that way for weeks afterward. You just stayed all balled up in this little pea pod, and I had to put you in preemie clothes because you were too small to fit in regular newborn clothes. You're just too tiny. You're so small. And whenever we went out and to see you in the nursery with all the other babies, well, there's this other baby right next to you. And I want to say it was the only other baby in there at the time. And he was 10 pounds. He fully was twice your size. And so then I was like, oh, now I know why that lady was screaming, because she was trying to push a 10-pound baby out. And here you are, this little like 5-pound peanut. And so that, and then I told your dad I needed to have a hamburger, like stat. Like, I wanted a hamburger. I don't want to say he got like Whataburger or Arby's. I don't know. But I had a big fat hamburger. And that was the story of your birth. So, and then you slept for weeks, and I thought, this is not real parenthood, because you're just sleeping all the time. Like, I don't think you were fully baked. So you just wanted to sleep all the time in a little pea pod. But happy birthday. You're 20 years old and you are no longer a child. So, big grown up adult. I love you.